Hi there, my name is Jenny and I'm on the board of directors at Maggie's Toronto Sex Workers Action Project. Maggie's is Canada's oldest buying for sex worker justice organization. Maggie's has existed since 1986, serving the downtown east of Toronto. Something that we're doing today is we're putting on our third vaccine clinic, and that clinic is inside Zanzibar. The reason why we chose Zanzibar is because it's such an iconic strip club, and it was really important for us to hold a vaccine clinic inside of a strip club because this strip club clinic is community care, as we're providing the first dose of Pfizer to marginalized communities who need a low barrier, no surveillance clinic. It's a comfortable and familiar space for sex workers. We also did it to make a public statement about sex work and about livelihood and about the government's failure to protect sex workers during the pandemic. Last fall, strip clubs were shut down because of an uptick in COVID cases, while other nightlife venues weren't shut down. Political leaders, Mayor Tory, Doug Ford, they made degrading remarks about sex work, about their workspaces, about their clients. Sex workers have been left out at every turn in the pandemic. The government is still making money off of sex workers during this time because strippers and strip clubs have been made to pay their licensing fees, including renewal licenses, even though they can't work. So the government profits off of sex work and yet degrades and shames sex workers. We need the government to stop charging licensing fees to strippers and strip clubs. They need to reimburse the fees that strippers and strip clubs have already paid. They need to cancel the renewal fees as well. We also need the government to go away from policing models and anti-trafficking initiatives that facilitate police contact, which leads to assault, harassment, deportations in our community. And we need the government to reinvest in community-based organizations like Maggie's, Butterfly, and so many other organizations in our community. The pandemic really changed the landscape of sex work overnight. There were so many risks and also government sanctions against doing in-person sex work. So many communities have tried to pivot their work or more of their work for the first time in online spaces. Pivoting to online spaces is not available to everyone. You need certain resources, you need a private space. You don't make an income overnight when you do that. So a lot of sex workers have been struggling during the pandemic. Maggie's partnered with Butterfly Asian and Migrant Sex Worker Support Network, and we created the largest sex worker mutual aid fund in North America, where we provided grants to sex workers experiencing financial hardship through the pandemic. And we heard these stories from sex workers coming in saying that they're working in person, but they're so scared of getting sick and getting their family sick, but that they had no choice to do so, and that any financial aid would help them to keep themselves safe. We've had that fund. We also have the Black Sex Worker Survival Fund. Something else that Maggie's has done is Maggie's has partnered with Strap.to to create the Strap House, which is a Black queer strip club. It does a whole bunch of other events too. But the purpose of the Strap House is to give a space to Black dancers to be able to make income during the pandemic in a space that is free from anti-Black racism. The Strap House, it's a club that's run by Black sex workers on our team with Strap.to. We also started an emergency food box program, partnered with Food Share Toronto, where we deliver fresh produce boxes to sex workers. And we also are offering free counseling services and free legal support to sex workers who have interactions with law enforcement and police during the pandemic, because we were getting reports of sex workers being entrapped by law enforcement officers, where law enforcement officers were posing as clients and then ticketing sex workers for not social distancing. So we had to start a legal program so that we can provide support and that we can provide information so that our communities know what their rights are. Sex workers are deeply invested in public health, and their workspaces are not inherently dirty or dangerous. Sex workers are not inherently super spreaders or vectors of disease. This really has deep roots in it because Maggie's actually began in the 1980s during the HIV/AIDS epidemic, when political leaders also then were framing sex workers as vectors of disease. And so this is a continuation of our historical roots. Sex workers are actually safer sex professionals. They're actually public health professionals. Here we are today in a strip club that has turned into a clinic, and we're serving our communities with something that's really vital and serving marginalized communities that the government has left out with this aid. Maggie's is really thankful to be able to do this work in the community and to be able to have our vaccine clinic today with Shoreburn Health and Unity Clinic and to have so much support from our community. But we do want to reiterate, as we do with all of our COVID-19 response, that we should have never had to do this. This is in response to the government's neglect and failure. Community-based organizations, grassroots, marginalized folks are using their own time, energy, and resources to serve their communities because the government isn't doing it. So while we're thankful, we just always want to emphasize that this shouldn't have to be the case and didn't need to be the case.